Tonight on CFTK-TV News, a homelessness services training event is coming to Terrace, a proposed demolition sparks community debate, and an expected bill as MPs return to Parliament Hill.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Monday, September 15th, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. The Homelessness Services Association of BC is hosting a training event here in Terrace focused on strengthening services for people experiencing homelessness. CFTK-TV's Helen Asante has more.
It's more than a workshop. It's sort of about building capacity, some connection, and some shared understanding. So not only are we hoping people get the training that they've been asking for and that they need, it's not just a couple of trainings and amazing buffet, and it's really trying to connect and center those voices that aren't often heard when policy is being made or procedures are being planned. So that's a part of the event that I personally am really looking forward to.
With registration still open, organizers highlight the importance of this event with hopes more people will step in and take part.
To have in-person training, I feel like you learn more, you're more open, the opportunity to network, to be heard and to hear others, like that you're not alone. Online training all the time is good, but it's not always the best, especially in some of the situations that we are dealing with. So to have her here in person is absolutely beautiful.
Organizers say the training goes beyond day-to-day shelter operations. It's about finding support for frontline staff.
Is small. For a while there, Jamie was a team of one. She now has two staff, but when you're dealing with the homeless or the people at risk, you have three people who are trying to support and help the community at large, and there's days where she comes in and she's like, we lost another person, and we talk about having rational detachment, like don't get attached to people. How do you not get attached to people? We're human. Jamie and her team have huge hearts. People who work with people who need help have huge hearts. How do you not get attached? How do you not feel the loss? So one of the needs that Jamie has identified is grief and loss, support for support staff, not only for the individuals out on the streets or out in the community, but we also need it for our service sector.
Helen Asante, CFTK-TV News, Terrace.
We will bring you more stories on the issue of homelessness in the region in the coming weeks. The City of Terrace has given local residents an opportunity to voice their thoughts on a planned demolition. CFTK-TV's Kel Maslin reports.
Prior to the latest Terrace City Council meeting, a public hearing was held to get the opinions of local residents on the plan to demolish the Kinhut building near the Heritage Park Museum. The demolition plan was confirmed several months ago, and Terrace Mayor Sean Buitosh provided a reminder as to why the city is going through with this process.
Well, the Kinhut has been abandoned for years and years and years, and it's just in disarray, and it's the foundation is collapsing. And when we had it inspected and looked at, it was deemed a hazard and a danger to the public, and we just don't have the finances to bring this building back up to speed. So it was deemed to demolish the building and make sure that it's not a liability to the community.
But at the hearing, more than a few people voiced their opposition to the plan, with one of the consistently cited reasons for residents wanting the building to be saved being the history behind it.
When the war broke out, the Canadian military was really afraid of an invasion from the northwest coast, from Prince Rupert. So they brought in 3,000 soldiers and another 3,000 construction workers to this town, which was around 400 people. And they built a lot of infrastructure because they had 6,000 new residents from a town that was at 400 population. The Kinhut was the mess hall of the hospital complex. It's not only the last remaining building of the military hospital complex, but it's also the only remaining mess hall from World War II that's still left in Terrace.
Although this contingent didn't pop up out of nowhere, as one resident even posted an open letter protesting the demolition a couple of months ago.
I asked why the city was determined to demolish one of very few buildings left over from the war. It's a heritage building as far as I'm concerned, and I think it's a shame to have it torn down.
The president of the Skeena Valley Men's Shed Society also came forward at the meeting to offer a tangible solution that could save the building.
We're going to save you $110,000. You won't have to tear down that building. Okay? Underneath that skin is a really beautiful building, and it deserves to be saved. So this is what happens when it gets saved. The men's shed has a meeting space. The men's shed has a workshop. A building, a historical building, is restored to its former glory. And it's our history. It may not be the history that you want, but it's our history.
The Skeena Men's Shed would be responsible for maintaining the building, and they've suggested the likes of the Parks Canada National Cost Sharing Program and Heritage Places and Canada Heritage Grants and Tax Incentives as just a couple of the government programs that could be applied to in order to try and get the funds for maintaining the building. But whether or not the demolition plan's opposition can actually save the building remains to be seen. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin.
Coming up next, Poilievre addresses the Conservative caucus. Prime Minister Mark Carney squared off against Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre in person during today's question period for the first time. Budget issues are a key topic, as Carney has signaled the fall budget's deficit will be bigger than last year's. That's partly because of U.S. tariffs and the government's response. Poilievre lost his Ottawa seat in the general election, but he's back in Parliament for the fall sitting after winning a rural Alberta by-election last month. One of Prime Minister Mark Carney's campaign promises is expected to come to fruition soon, and it's one that targets hate crimes.
It's a promise Prime Minister Mark Carney first made months ago during the election campaign.
We will make it a criminal offense to intentionally and willfully obstruct access to any place of worship, to any school, any community center.
CTV News has now learned a bill to back up that promise could come as early as Tuesday. A government source with knowledge of the proposed legislation tells CTV News the Carney government will look to introduce 3 new criminal code offenses: a willful intimidation offense, an obstruction offense, and a standalone hate offense within the criminal code.
It's about time.
Bernie Farber is the former CEO of the Canadian Jewish Congress and founder of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network. He welcomes the bill but believes it should go a step further.
Glad to see that there is an opening and there is a new law to help make it easier in some aspects, but not a peep about online hate.
In a statement to CTV News, a spokesperson for the National Council for Canadian Muslims said, absolutely no one should be harassed in Canada, particularly in places of worship and religious community. The right to peaceful protest should also be protected. A balance must be struck. The source tells CTV News the bill proposes making it illegal to intimidate someone to stop them from accessing facilities used by identifiable groups, and would stop protesters from willfully blocking or obstructing access to those facilities. It would also make it easier for law enforcement to lay hate charges.
This will kind of put some more teeth in the bite of the police in terms of where and when they can make arrests and what charges they can lay.
Speaking to reporters at a caucus retreat in Edmonton, Justice Minister Sean Fraser spoke about the proposed bill.
We want to advance measures that will help address the scourge of hate crimes that we see in this country.
On the eve of Parliament's return, Pierre Poilievre spoke to the Conservative caucus. CTV's Colton Prail reports.
Pierre Poilievre joked he took the scenic route back to Ottawa, but as Parliament prepares to return, the Conservative leader is wasting no time putting the Prime Minister's feet to the fire.
The tariffs are worse, crime is worse, immigration is worse. That is not what Canadians voted for.
Decrying a Liberal government he says has been more talk than action.
He promised elbows up, and where did the elbows go from there?
Poilievre promised a Conservative focus on 4 key areas this fall: the cost of living, job losses, crime rates, and immigration.
Pierre Poilievre is going to be talking about things that people are feeling and experiencing around the kitchen table. And Mark Carney is talking about national projects that are frankly very hard to relate to.
And while the Liberals warn of a possible austerity budget this fall,
now we have some choices to make so that we can get our finances in control.
Poilievre is drilling down on increasing concerns about the overall health of the Canadian economy.
Remember that? Spend less, invest more. $62 billion of net investment has left since he became Prime Minister.
We are seeing evidence that people's anxiety around the economy is increasing, that some of those, some of that optimism might be wearing a little bit thin, that people are expecting to see some results.
The Conservatives have promised to introduce legislation aimed at unlocking Canada's economy and tackling bail reform.
But the Liberals are eyeing those very same issues. They launched the Major Projects Office and are promising a crime bill of their own.
And today, it seems the Liberals will need help from any opposition party if they want to make any progress on bail reform or immigration changes. And of course, they need to pass a budget.
So I'm looking forward to a collaborative session.
The Prime Minister was preaching collaboration, while many were anticipating today's confrontation.
Mr. Speaker, why is it that all of this Prime Minister's promises of yesterday turn into today's disappointments?
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre attacked the Prime Minister's record. Mark Carney responded with a dig about Poilievre's absence from the House as he campaigned in a by-election.
He missed the largest tax cut for 22 million Canadians. He missed the cut on the GST for new homes. He missed eliminating all federal barriers to trade.
Despite all the jabs, all are calling for cross-partisan collaboration on issues like housing, bail and immigration reform, and the ongoing affordability crisis.
We're going to oppose the government where it makes sense. We are going to support things that make sense, and we are going to expose what they're not telling us.
We are a minority government, yes, but we believe that we have a mandate to proceed with major things.
It's why Liberal House Leader Steve McKinnon said his party is willing to negotiate on details, not principles.
There will be no negotiation, but we want to collaborate. What does that mean? Obey? Become Liberals? Might not happen.
It's by force of will that I ignore the fact that Mr. Carney seems to have one speed, which is fast, and one vehicle, which is a bulldozer.
Any collaboration will be tested soon, as the Liberals will need help to pass a budget this fall, and one that the government says is projected to have a substantial deficit.
And former Alberta Premier Jason Kenney is warning an Alberta sovereignty referendum would be deeply divisive. He calls Alberta separation a historically discredited concept driven by a pocket of malcontents. Kenney cautions it would be guaranteed to shred the social fabric of the province the movement claims to champion. Current Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says she doesn't want a referendum and remains committed to keeping her province within Canada. Next, let's turn to your Northwest weather report. Tonight on the North Coast, expect periods of rain, winds from the southeast at 30 kilometers an hour, gusting to 50, a low of 13 degrees. Over the next few days on the North Coast, expect a mix of sun and clouds tomorrow, then more showers and rain through the week. Daily highs at 13 to 19 degrees, overnight lows at 10 to 13 degrees. Tonight in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect it to be mainly cloudy with a 70% chance of showers early this evening, a low of 11 degrees. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect a mix of sun and clouds here tomorrow as well, then shifting to overcast and showers as we get into the week. Daily highs 13 to 20 degrees, overnight lows 8 to 12 degrees. Tonight in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect a few clouds, a low of +4 with a risk of frost. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect a possibility of showers through the week, but also some sun in there as well. Temperatures 16 to 21 degrees, overnight lows from 3 to 10 degrees. Checking your highways around the Northwest now. On Highway 16, there's construction in Prince Rupert with a detour in effect, as well as bridge maintenance, road maintenance, utility work, construction work, and paving operations underway. On Highway 37, watch for construction work and roadside brushing. On Highway 37A, there's paving operations and a section with falling rocks. On the Niska Highway, watch for road construction and mowing. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, a family's plea for political asylum. BC is reporting a new record high for its forecasted deficit for Q1 2025-2026 with the elimination of the consumer carbon tax. The province is projecting the deficit to reach almost $11.6 billion, almost $700 million higher than the original projection. The projections, released by Finance Minister Brenda Bailey, also says higher deficits are expected through 2028 due to a dip in anticipated economic growth. BC is also projecting its debt to rise to $155 billion this fiscal year. A family in Ontario is fighting to stay in the country after the government deemed they don't qualify for political asylum. CTV's Camille Carmali explains.
This is my first ever legit title I ever got.
This is what Tamari Lindo calls his contribution to Canada. Medal after medal in hurdling. But despite all this,
these are all of them.
He may never get to compete for our country on the biggest stage because each passing day brings him closer to deportation.
It does hurt to feel like, it kind of gives me a sense of like feeling like unwanted.
Tamari and his family came to Canada from Jamaica in 2019. Lindo's gonna take it home! Since then, becoming one of the country's top-ranked hurdlers at the collegiate level, his father, George Lindo, filing a refugee claim for political asylum after he says he was targeted by gangs while volunteering for Jamaica's political opposition party, even shot at and his throat slashed.
I was just praying for God.
The family was facing deportation last year, but after public pressure, Ottawa granted them a 1-year extension, which is now coming to an end.
Honestly, I don't know what I would do. I don't even know where I'd start. Like, I'll just be completely broken.
Last year, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada said it found that the violence that the family was facing in Jamaica could not be linked to their political activism.
Saying in a statement, crime including murder is widespread throughout Jamaica. Any risk they face is not personalized. It's one shared generally by all persons living in Jamaica.
It's complete nonsense. We're talking about someone who is being specifically targeted because of their political work.
The awards, the accolades, and an Olympic future could all be gone, but with the removal proceedings already begun for this family, there's a lot more they could stand to lose.
Tamari, what do you think is going to happen to you and your family if you go back to Jamaica?
Honestly, I think it will be death, honestly.
Now facing a race against time, this family feels winning this battle could be a matter of life and death. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Oakville, Ontario.
The latest tally of salmonella cases linked to pistachios is almost 80, with 11 of those people hospitalized. Dozens of recall warnings have been issued by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency over the last couple months. The recall has been linked to bulk pistachio nuts as well as popular desserts like baklava and Dubai chocolate. The Public Health Agency of Canada says most cases are in Quebec, followed by Ontario and British Columbia, with 1 case each in New Brunswick and Manitoba. Turning to the stock markets now. The Canadian dollar gained 0.2 cents. The price of gold rose $32.60. Oil rose by 61 cents. Natural gas rose by 9 cents. Aluminum gained $50.50. In Toronto, the TSX was up 147 points. The Venture Index rose by 13. In New York, the Dow Jones gained 49 points, while the Nasdaq was up almost 202 points. Still ahead, a snowboarder rescued by SOS. Canadian Beverly Thompson, a longtime CTV news anchor known for high-profile interviews with politicians and celebrities, has died. She was 61. Thompson passed away on Sunday morning, surrounded by family after a long battle with cancer. Following her own 2002 diagnosis, Thompson became active in breast cancer fundraising and awareness. For more than 3 decades, Thompson guided Canadians through historic moments across the country and the world. Thompson said when the going got tough, she leaned on 3 pillars: perseverance, passion, and patience. Thompson first joined CTV News Toronto as a reporter and was most recently a CTV News Channel anchor. She is survived by her husband, Rob, and her 2 children, Taylor and Robbie. As we near the ski and snowboard season here in the Northwest, one Colorado man's rescue is a harrowing reminder to take safety precautions. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
A harrowing rescue in Colorado.
I just told myself things are going to be all right. You just got to be patient.
Seasoned outdoorsman Ryan Hearn was out with his friends snowboarding on Skyscraper Glacier outside of Denver when things took a turn.
On my 6th turn, I clipped a rock. That's about when I knew I was in trouble.
Ryan started tumbling.
I knew that I was going down, and before I knew it, I got one last glimpse of me pretty much going into what's called a bergschrund.
A bergschrund is a small crevasse formed on the glacial ice. Now about 100 feet down, he knew immediately it was bad. His board lodged in ice and rock.
I landed head first and quickly realized that I was kind of free hanging and that my leg was in severe pain and was compromised.
Without any cell service, he turned to his iPhone, using the phone's SOS satellite feature to message 911.
I was trying my best just to wave it left and right, and it took me about 15 minutes to finally get a satellite.
Then a team of volunteers with the Rocky Mountain Rescue Group flew in on a helicopter. They traversed a 300-foot path of glacial snow, finding Ryan over 3 hours after his initial messages for help.
I was on the wall waving my helmet. They saw me, landed above me, and dropped a crew. I knew that I was going to get out of there.
The team built a system to pull Ryan to the top of the snowfield over an eroding ice ridge where he was medevaced to a hospital. The rescue took almost 11 hours. Ryan broke his lower leg and fractured his ankle, but this morning he is grateful to be alive.
Definitely feeling grateful, thankful to Search and Rescue for, just not only like getting me out of there, but, keeping up with me, coming to my hospital room, making sure everything's going to be okay.
And Ryan telling us he really wants everyone to know how important it is to have an SOS satellite device like a newer iPhone or an Android with satellite connectivity to make that call for help when there is no cell service. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Finally tonight, RCMP in Mission are looking for a man with criminal energy and an apparent sweet tooth. Officers say they're looking for a Caucasian male in his 30s with short dark hair who is likely not lactose intolerant after stealing ice cream worth $300 from a grocery store. Police say the man was seen in the store 3 times during the past week, and each time he only walked away with ice cream. Anyone with information about the ice cream caper is asked to call the Mission RCMP. That's our news for now. For more local news, check out CFTK-TV.com. We're also on TikTok and YouTube. Thanks for watching.